Welcome, Gunrunner.
Hello everyone, Kieran aka the Laird here, and I've got a ebook preview for you this week, something I haven't done for a while, and this is of course looking at my latest ebook, which you might have seen me mention here on the channel on the community tab that it was out. It's only just come out like a week or so ago, but I thought you all might like to see a preview of what it's all about, so I usually do these. Nothing like promoting your own work, eh? And yes, so this is TriVideo Games, video games and trivia. So basically the concept of this book, which you can see probably a bit of just by looking at this contents list here that's on the screen, this index. Basically it's lots of video game trivia and kind of stories and stuff like that, but it's geared around sort of trivia style kind of articles, some of which I wrote for magazines, some of which I wrote for websites. So basically pretty much everything in this is repeated material. I'm not saying it's all brand new, but most of this stuff is in this book. It's kind of a compilation, really, of stuff that I've written for magazines and websites over the years. But I think all of it is no longer online anywhere. So basically, nearly all of this, I think, actually, there might be one or two maybe that are somewhere. I don't think so, though. I think all of these articles are no longer anywhere on the internet to be found. So basically, they are, they're kind of lost in a way, and I've resurrected them so I can put them in this book. But in many cases, I have edited them or added to them or tweaked them or whatever, so that most of them aren't exactly as they probably appeared on the websites or magazines that I originally wrote them for. Obviously the formatting is different as well, but that's I thought it was a nice thing to do, to kind of get some of my old material back out there for people to have a look at. There might even be a couple here actually I wrote for magazines or something that were never used. I don't exactly remember looking down the list. But yeah, so we've got something about everything really in there. We've got consoles, computers, got arcades. There's some humorous stuff in there. There's some quite serious stuff in here. So there's a real mix of different stuff really. I won't show you the whole book, but I'll show you some bits and pieces. Obviously you've got the usual intro. So then there's an article I wrote many years ago, which I think is probably the oldest article in here. I think I wrote this for What Culture before they went belly up. I wrote loads of stuff for them before they went belly up. In fact, I do think they come back, but they certainly went bust and basically laid off all of their staff. And I can remember getting a message from my editor basically telling me that he'd just been fired and been told to fire all his staff as well, which must have been great for him. Oh, you're fired, by the way. You can also fire all your staff. I mean, I was only a freelancer anyway. It didn't really matter to me too much. But yeah, it was quite a strange thing when it happened. But yeah, this is just basically looking at some games that I think Sega should bring back. And actually, some of the games that I suggested in here, they are talking about bringing back at the moment. So there is stuff in here that I know that they are planning to bring back. So there's that. Then we've got an article on arcade clones for the ZX Spectrum. So basically, for example, there's Pogo by Ocean, which is a clone of Cuba, and then there's High Noon by Abex, which is a clone of Boot Hill. So basically, arcade clones are actually good, because there's a lot of really terrible arcade clones on the Spectrum from the early years. And then we go from 8-bit to 16-bit. We've got some Atari ST exclusives, like Skullduggery there, a favourite of mine, and Substation, which is an STE only game. Very impressive FPS. So then we have an article on obscure games starring the Marvel Avengers. I think this is another one I wrote for What Culture, actually. So we've got stuff in there like Captain America, Amazing Spider-Man, some of the lesser known ones, Iron Man for the Wii, Captain America, Super Soldier. I mean, I suppose they're not majorly obscure. Incredible Hulk for the Saturn, but some of them aren't well known, put it that way. Then the greatest arcade games of 1977, because I thought it was interesting to see what was in the arcades the year I was born. So there's Boot Hill, there's Space Wars by Cinematronics, and Sprint 8 by Atari. Then back to some exclusive games again, but this time for the Atari 7800. So there's Meltdown, and there's Alien Brigade, and there's Tank Command, for example. 10 amazing facts about the Sega Mega Drive. So some just little tidbits of trivia about, for example, the fact it was never officially discontinued, that Samsung made them in Korea, which a lot of people don't know, so lots of interesting stuff there. One of the comedic sort of articles that's in here, a funny little piece about looking at some really, really bad box art, like there's the legendary artwork for Mega Man, which I think is one of the first games that people think of, and there's loads of really bad artwork for the NES, like Pro Wrestling there, a well-known one. I'm not sure the formatting there is showing that on the wrong page, but might just be the way I'm viewing it on this computer. I know when I tried it on a real tablet it looked fine. 10 great Wild West themed video games. So before Red Dead Redemption. So I actually wrote this. God, who did I write this for? God, I can't remember the name of the website I wrote this for now. GameSpew, I think. It was when Red Dead Redemption 2 came out, so a long time ago, and they wanted me to write something about other Wild West video games, so I did. The article did really well, actually. I seem to remember I earned quite a lot of advertising revenue out of it. But there's Boot Hill again, there's Wild Bunch on the Spectrum, there's Gunsmoke by Capcom from the arcades, Patchy Raid on the Spectrum, so lots of interesting stuff in there. Then I'll go to the Obscure to look at some games for the Sam Coupe, like Defenders of the Earth there, Clax, and the amazing Sam Port of Manic Miner, which is the best way to play the game in my opinion. Then I look at some unreleased consoles, so go from software to hardware, so there is some hardware stuff in here as well. So there's the Sega Neptune, there's the Atari Cosmos, the Namco Super System, and there's much more in there. Easter Bunny's Excellent Games, this is kind of more on the humorous side of things again. So this was an article I wrote for a website who wanted an article about Easter, something to do with Easter. I think it was Geekly I wrote this for, actually. That website didn't last very long. It was just sad because it's like it kind of launched this massive fanfare, and it was a website that was owned by this big company who owned lots of other websites, and they kind of ran it for about 3 months, I think, and then they kind of went, meh, we can't be bothered, and they sold it to someone else who then never did anything with it. It was really strange. But the new guy basically who took over it didn't want to pay any of the writers, so he kind of lost all his writers. It was really bizarre indeed. Very strange. But yeah, I wrote that for them. Bugs Bunny Crazy Castle, Rabbit Transit. That's a game called Race. Oh no, Bunny, sorry, for the Spectrum. I think it was called Race for some reason. Yes, there's some sort of Easter Bunny themed stuff in there. Then the top 10 Atari 2600 racing games. So there's like Indy 500 there, Motocross Racer, Dragster, Grand Prix, goes on and on. Then presidential video games, which I originally wrote actually for the election, when I think it was when Donald Trump got elected the first time. I think I wrote this. I think I wrote this for What Culture as well, actually, because I think they wanted something election themed. They would quite often ask for articles to do with something that was in the sort of news, current affairs, to sort of link it in, try and get more views. So I kind of just rewrote this slightly because Donald Trump just got elected again, so I thought it was a good one to bring back and just rewrite the intro a bit. But yeah, like it's colonisation there with the Founding Fathers, Codename Steam with Abraham Lincoln, Civilization 5 with George Washington, Ready to Rumble 2 with Bill Clinton, etc. Unlucky 13, The Curse of Superman video games, because they've never done very well over the years, exemplified by that game there, obviously. Then there's Superman Arcade. I loved Superman in the arcade. I have to say I really enjoyed that game. Superman for the Atari 2600, Superman Man of Steel for the Master System, Superman Shadow of Apocalypse, PlayStation 2, goes on and on. There's 13 of them, as it says. NES on 3DS. So I wrote this one when the NES Mini came out, because I can't remember who I wrote this for. GameSpew, I think. They wanted something to try and piggyback the release of the NES Mini, because it was quite a popular big thing that lots of people were talking about. So I wrote the fact that you could play lots of NES games on the 3DS, because it kind of wasn't so well known at that point. So yeah. So I wrote about some of my favourite NES games that you could play on the 3DS, like Star Soldier there, River City Ransom, of course, Mighty Bomb Jack, and Life Force. There's some of those, there's more in there. Soft Focus, Ocean on the Auric. I think I wrote this for Retro Now, I think, which was I don't even know if that magazine's still going, but it was one that Paul Andrews was doing, and then he got bored of it, like he does with so many of his projects, and sold the magazine to somebody else. But yeah, Soft Focus, Ocean on the Auric, and that was because he just bought the rights to use the Auric branding, and so he wanted me to write articles basically to tie into brands that he owned. That's actually where the Sam Coupe article came from as well. This was an Auric article I wrote, so a lot of people didn't realise that Ocean made quite a few games for the Auric, and so I wrote about some of them there, like Hunchback, The Island of Death, and Mr. Wimpy. Commodore on Commodore. I actually can't remember who I wrote this for. It might have been Geekly, I can't actually remember, but obviously this is cartridges for 10 great cartridges by Commodore for the C64. So Gorf there, Lazarian, Wizard of War. I think a lot of people forget that Commodore actually made some games for the Commodore 64, and they're actually very good, most of them. ColecoVision Hidden Gems. Don't remember who I wrote this one for at all, actually. Nova Blast, Supercross Force. I think something American, but I don't know. It might be an old school gamer, I don't remember. Pit Stops, there we go. Some lesser known games for the ColecoVision. Nintendo Game Boy Hidden Gems, and this one actually was written by my brother, so I kind of put this in there because he wrote this for Geekly, I think it was. I don't know if it was ever published either. It might have been when they were going through the takeover, I don't remember, but I said, do you want me to put it in one of my books? He said, yeah, go for it. So I did, so there it is. So Solar Striker there, so he wrote this one. Monster Max, Dragon Slayer, Side Pocket, loads of stuff in there. So a more comedic article again on 5 video games cancel culture hasn't cancelled. So this is when they were just cancelling all sorts of TV shows and stuff for stupid reasons, and books and stuff, because suddenly people got offended by them, like the Muppets and Dr. Seuss and Johnny Bravo there. So Dukes of Hazzard, so loads of those. 5 video game companies you didn't know still existed. So it starts off there talking about Activision, because I think I wrote this when Microsoft had bought Activision. I believe that's when I wrote this one. It's probably one of the more recent articles that I've written, actually. Starts off there with all the Audiogenic, and then talks about Jarell and lots of others. And then it just ends up with just me promoting some of my other stuff that I've done. So that's it, really. That's this book, TriVideo Games Volume 1, and as it says there, look out for Volume 2 of TriVideo Games, because I've got loads more content like this that I can kind of republish and rejig and re-release a bit to get it back out there. And these are kind of just cheap Kindle books, so they're very, very affordable. They're about £3, I think, $3. I think it's the same price in dollars and pounds. Because of the strange way Kindle pricing works, the way it adds on different charges for different countries. So it's not always an actual flat exchange rate on the price of the actual product, because different countries have different tax and stuff. But I'm pretty sure that this one is $3 and £3. But yeah, that's it really. There's nothing else to really show you. But this can obviously be bought from Amazon and Kindle Store. Available worldwide, is out now. I've got some other Kindle books on there as well, so obviously go and check them out if you have a Kindle and you want to read some Kindle books. I actually have advertised there my paperbacks, but there's some of the other Kindle books, like Retro Gaming Volume 1. There is also Retro Gaming Volume 2 now as well. My Atari XE games book that I did, which is just mainly focused on the games that were released with the Zegs branding, and also other cartridge games that will work with that console. As opposed to sort of disc and tape games, it's all cartridge games in that book. It does repeat a lot of the content with my Atari 8-bit print book, so that's why that's a Kindle only book. A lot of people did ask me to put that into print, but I said there's no point, because everything that's in there I think can be found in either Volume 1 or Volume 2 of my Atari 8-bit compendium. So I did a 7800 games book, which quite a few people have asked me to put into print as well, so I probably will add to that and put that into print at some point, because there isn't really an Atari 7800 book out there. Nintendo Game Boy Games book, that one as well. I may turn that into a print book at some point if there's demand. That's actually sold very steadily, my Game Boy book. Very steady sales sort of since I released it. And say I did a Retro Gaming Volume 2 because that is actually my most popular Kindle book, Retro Gaming Volume 1. That's done really well for me. And so I did a Volume 2, which is doing equally well. People seem to like that format. So I'm pretty sure I'll do a Retro Gaming Volume 3 soon. And for those who don't know, that's basically just like a kind of magazine. I'll link that down in the description for those interested. But yeah, I did it to be like an old school magazine with big sort of long format reviews in it, basically. That's how it's inspired. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed my little preview of TriVideo Games. Please go and check it out. Buy it on Kindle, Amazon store, wherever you get your ebooks. And I'll see you all again for another video very soon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.